Britain has a long history stretching back thousands of years. In every part, at some point, a bloody or mysterious event has taken place. Murders, bloodthirsty revenge, plagues, punishment and folklore will make your flesh creep in terror. This is Mysterious Britain, Tales of the Unknown. Tom Hickathrift is a legendary figure of East Anglian English folklore, a character similar to Jack the Giant Killer. In the fairy tale as told by Joseph Jacobs, Tom lived in marsh off the island of Ely, and although initially lazy and gluttonous, he was remarkably tall, and it soon became apparent that he had the strength of 20 men. Various proofs of his strength are given. He carried 20 hundredweight of straw, and a tree as if it weighed nothing, kicked a football so far that nobody could find it, and single-handedly fought off 4 men who tried to rob him. Tom eventually got a job carting beer in Wisbech, but the long journey tired him, so one day he cut across the land of the Wisbech giant. The giant took this badly and fetched his club to beat Tom, but at this point Tom took the axletree and cartwheel and fought the giant. After a furious battle, the giant was killed. Tom took his land and was from then on held in esteem by the people of the area. Jacob cites his source as the chapbook in the Presbyterian Library from around 1660, edited by G.L. Nome. Nome's introduction states that there was evidence that an axletree and cartwheel had figured on a stone tomb in Tilney churchyard, and local accounts associated these with a man named Hickathrift, who had withstood the tyranny of the lord of the manor. Various stories of his exploits have grown over the years. In one version, Tom is fabled to have been a simple labourer at the time of the Norman conquest, and to have killed a giant in the marsh at Tilney, armed only with an axletree stuck into a cartwheel. When his makeshift weapon broke, he grabbed a lusty raw bone miller and used him as a weapon. In the Wisbech area, naughty children were told, "Old Tom Hickathrift will get you," and this old rhyme was still well known in the 1920s. He ate a cow and a calf, an ox and a half, the church and the steeple, and then all the people, and still had not enough. On the night of 8th to 9th February 1855, and 1 or 2 nights later, after a heavy snowfall, a series of hoof-like marks appeared in the snow. These footprints, most of which measured about 4 inches long and 3 inches across, between 8 and 16 inches apart, and mostly in single file, were reported from more than 30 locations across Devon and a couple in Dorset. It is estimated that the total distance of the treks amounted to between 40 and 100 miles. Houses, rivers, haystacks and other obstacles were travelled straight over. Footprints appeared on the tops of snow-covered roofs and high walls which lay in the footprints path, as well as leading up to and exiting drain pipes as small as 4 inches in diameter. The 26th of May 1855 issue of Bell's Life in Sydney, published in a miscellaneous extract column, a weekly dispatch dated 18th of February. It appears on Thursday last night there was a very heavy snowfall in the neighbourhood of Exeter and the south of Devon. On the following morning, the inhabitants of the above towns were surprised at discovering the footmarks of some strange and mysterious animal, endowed with the power of ubiquity, as the footprints were to be seen in all kinds of unaccountable places. on the tops of houses and narrow walls, in gardens and courtyards enclosed by high walls and palings, as well as in open fields. The area in which the prints appeared extended from Exmouth up to Topsham and across the Estuary to Dawlish and Tingsmouth. R.H. Busk, in an article published in Notes and Queries during 1890, stated that footprints also appeared further afield, as far south as Torquay, and that there were other reports of the prints as far away as Weymouth and even Lincolnshire. There is little direct evidence of the phenomenon. The only known documents were found after the publication during 1950 of an article in the Transactions of the Devonshire Association asking for further information about the event. This resulted in the discovery of a collection of papers belonging to Reverend H.T. Ellercombe, the vicar of Slist, St. George, during the 1850s. These papers included letters addressed to the vicar from his friends, among them Reverend G. M. Musgrove, the vicar of Wivicombe Raleigh, the draft of a letter to be illustrated London News marked not for publication, and several apparent tracings of the footprints. Many explanations have been made for the incident. Some investigators are sceptical that the tracks really extended for more than 100 miles, arguing that no one would have been able to follow their entire course in a single day. Another reason for scepticism is that the eyewitnesses' description of the footprints varied from person to person. In his 14 study articles, investigator Mike Nash concluded that there was no one source for the hoof marks. Some of the tracks were probably hoaxes, some were probably made by animals such as donkeys and ponies, and some by wood mice. He admitted, though, that these cannot explain all the reported marks, and the mystery remains. The story of Nanny Rut, being an oral tradition, varies depending on who is telling the tale. There are, however, some features that are common to all versions of the tale. The story begins with a young girl who had arranged to meet with a lover at the well in Mathwood. The girl sets off into the wood in the early evening, but on her way meets an old woman wrapped in a shawl that casts a deep shadow on her face in the evening light. A conversation between the old woman and the girl ensues, and she is warned about the dangers of the woods at night, as well as those of eloping without the permission of her parents. Ignoring these warnings, the girl continues on her way and finds her way to the source of the well, deep inside the woods, where she had arranged to meet her lover. Here she waits for a long time, to no result. By the time she realises that her lover is not coming, it is very dark. Tears from the rejection form in her eyes, clouding her vision. Her vision was already poor due to the darkness of the woods, and the girl soon becomes hopelessly lost. Eventually the girl stumbles upon a clearing in the woods, which holds an overgrown stone building, a little bigger than a small shack. In the doorway stands the old woman, her shawl now pulled back to reveal a hideous face lit by the ghostly moonlight. As she turns to run, she stumbles and falls. The old woman's shadow falls on her as she advances, freezing her body with a paralysing chill, and her throat goes dry as she tries to scream. The girl is never seen again.